Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. I am Joe, and I'm your host every Tuesday evening, right here in WNRI 99.9 on the FM dial, 1380 on the AM dial. And this show is for you. We talk about real estate for the common man, for the average guy or gal. Um, this is I believe, our 12th year that we've been doing this. So I know we have a lot of regular listeners. And if you have any questions or real estate needs, please feel free to reach out to me during the day at 401-409-5030. Again, Joe Luca, Realtor, 401-409-5030. This show is rebroadcast every Saturday at 1 p.m. So if you can't catch us live, you can check it out Saturdays at 1. And I also put this show and a lot of other content available online. I have a YouTube channel, and there's also my blog, cupofjoeluca.com, where we talk about a lot of things, all things real estate, okay, helping people learn and get information, because my job is to help you, home buyers, homeowners, investors, make the best decision for your future, okay? And that's what I'm here for you. I provide information, put it out there, and I'm available to answer your questions. Shout out to Vern Rainville. Vern Rainville is a public insurance adjuster. He works for you, the property owner. If you think you have a claim, we had some major winds last night, excuse me, a lot of rain yesterday. Give him a call. He'll let you know if he can help you out or not. 484-300-8495. That's Vern Rainville, 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville will return your call within 24 hours. He's a Rhode Island guy, and he understands the way things happen in Rhode Island. And of course, Compass Title and Escrow, we refer our buyers and sellers and other folks who are looking to set up LLCs for investments or to own real estate. Compass Title and Escrow, Anthony Betancourt and his team of attorneys and paralegals do a great job taking care of you, the consumer. I want to do a quick shout out to one of my vendor partners that we've been working on some deals recently, Lena DePina from Washington Trust. Referred a couple of folks to her, and I wanted to thank her for her support in getting everyone pre-approved and getting a lot of the underwriting done. She does a really good job taking care of them. Also, we have some other lender partners as well. Joe Baptista at Anchor Financial, Jeff Gaccione at Embrace Home Loan, and Louis Rondon from the Malik team is now at Rate Mortgage. Okay, they made a move to a situation they feel is better for them. That's Rate Mortgage, Louis Rondon. If you typically, what I do when I have buyers is I refer them to a couple of lenders, so you can find someone that you're most comfortable with. But what I always do is the lenders that I refer my clients to are all local. They do a good job taking care of my buyers, and they're thorough. Okay, one of the things you do not want if you're going to be buying a home is a listing agent to receive your pre-approval and not know who the lender is, see that they're from someplace far away, and not vested in the local community, or worse, it's someone that they know doesn't do a good job. So please, if you're planning to buy a house, and of course you can give me a call, 401-409-5030, but whomever your realtor refers you to, use them, because that's someone that they're comfortable with and they know does a good job. Because of course, if they're representing you as a buyer, it's in their best interest to get a transaction accepted. Okay, and so it would behoove them to work with good lenders. Okay, so what's going on in the local real estate market? I was talking with some folks today, and property values are still holding strong. And despite the fact that we have a war that's going on, none of my buyers have been intimidated by this war. They're still out looking for houses. They still want to buy a home. There are still more people trying to get pre-approved for a mortgage so they can qualify to buy a home. So I would not worry. I would not be concerned with the um, the overseas situation impacting home sales or home values in the Rhode Island area, because we still have more buyers than we do sellers. We have not been building enough homes for a long time, so that situation is not going to be changing anytime soon. Now, I was talking with one of my listeners early today, and this is a segue into our topic for tonight. And he's contemplating whether he should sell. He has an investment property, whether he should sell the investment property or, excuse me, or keep on, just retain ownership and continue collecting the rent. Okay. And of course, that is a very personal decision. And every person who's in that situation would probably look at it differently. And one of the things this gentleman is concerned with is he has kids, some of whom are local, one of whom is further away, and you have to try and square their needs with what you want, and listen to what they're saying to you. Okay, not just hear it, but listen. And of course, as a realtor, I could have easily, well, you should definitely list your property, sell it, get it all done, get the cash and put it in the bank. But I try to help people make the best decision for their situation. So I don't tell anyone what to do, but I provide a lot of data. And I pointed out a few things to this individual and said, listen, maybe have a conversation with your child that, and why do they want you to sell it? Is it reason 1, 2, 3, or is it they just, want to make it easier for you, whatever the situation is? Try to find out why, because they may have some legitimate reasons for wanting you to sell the property now, as opposed to them having to deal with it after you pass. Okay. And, these are the tough things that we have to deal with. Okay. As, seasoned adults, and, none of us get out of here alive. We're all pushing daisies at some point. And ideally what you want to do is set your heirs up so that it's not any more stressful or exasperating than it needs to be. So I suggested this individual have a call. I made myself available. I said, listen, if you want to have a conference call where your children can have me on the line and ask me questions, I'd be more than happy to do that, because my goal is not just to list a house and sell it. My goal is to give people information, provide information, data, so they can make the best decision for their financial future. Okay, so that being said, what I want to talk a little bit about tonight for most of the show is how real estate is the most powerful way people can build long-term wealth in America. But the key question that many people ask is, how exactly does real estate create wealth over time? So tonight, what I want to do is we're going to break down how real estate builds long-term wealth. And there are 4 major mechanisms, which is how everyday homeowners and investors can use property ownership to create financial security. All right. So as I said earlier, my name is Joe Luca, Realtor, and I try to provide a lot of valuable information to everyone. I have a blog, cupofjoeluca.com. I also have a YouTube channel. There's a lot of content on there, 3 to 5 minute videos, past episodes of the Joe Luca Real Estate Show, as well as some YouTube shorts. I've been loading up those recently as well. So if you only want to watch like a 30-second video, everybody's attention span seems to get shorter and shorter. I have that content out there as well. All right, so let's get right to it. Why is real estate a wealth building tool? Historically, real estate has been one of the most reliable ways to build wealth for several reasons. Okay, unlike other investments, real estate offers multiple ways to grow financially at the same time. So when you own property, You can benefit from property appreciation, mortgage paydown, rental income, and there are some tax advantages which may be available to you. What makes real estate unique is, this is important, these wealth building factors can work simultaneously, creating what many investors call compound wealth growth through real estate ownership. So think about that. You have 4 different strategies that occur at the same time, creating wealth for you. Okay. Even people who never become, air quotes, real estate investors, they can often build significant wealth simply by owning a home for a long period of time. All right, so let's hit those 4 ways, the primary ways that real estate creates long-term financial growth. Now, I wanted to talk about this tonight because, one, I talked to my client and listener this morning, and that got me thinking about, people retiring and needing income. And also, I haven't really talked about this in depth. So I figured it would be something we could talk about. We're coming up, we're in the tax season now. Maybe some folks are seeing how much they have to pay in taxes, and maybe they want to see if they can make changes, or they're getting money back from their taxes and they don't know what to do with it. We're going to talk about these 4 different ways that real estate can build wealth. And if any of them are appealing or attractive to you, give me a call and we can talk about your situation and if it's something that would be worth you pursuing. Okay. And again, I am honest. If I don't think it's something, I'm not going to tell you to buy or sell a house just because. I'm going to lay all the facts out for you and let you ask me for more questions. Okay. Because everyone has to make their own decision. And when family's involved, a spouse, kids, heirs, it should be everyone's situation should be considered. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the first one, property appreciation. Over time, real estate values historically have gone up. Now, we're not looking at a 6-month, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year period. Usually it's more than 5 years. And even if you look at the biggest real estate crash in history, okay, which occurred in the early 2000s, and you look at from, say, 2007, 8, and you jump forward 5 years, okay, you're at 2012, 13, that's when things started to turn around. And as big of a crash as that was, today, property values are many times greater than what they were prior to that crash. And this is only not even 20 years, okay? While markets can move up and down in the short term, okay, long-term property appreciation typically has been one of the strongest drivers of homeowner wealth in the United States. This means the home you buy today may be worth significantly more in the future. So if you are in a situation right now where you're paying rent and you're paying $2,900 a month in rent, if you were to say, all right, what can I buy, even if it's something small and not in my desired area, so that all of that money or a large portion of that money can go towards a mortgage, you would be better off because property values go up. I've sold homes to people over the past several years where people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm spending this much money on a house. And then we talk 1, 2, 3, 4 years later, and they're sitting on $100,000 of equity or more. So that is a very significant way that real estate builds wealth. Okay. Now, the next thing we have on number 2 is what's called the mortgage paydown. Okay. every time you make a mortgage payment. So let's say, you bought your house in December, your first mortgage payment came due in February 1st. You mail the money in, you transfer it, however you make your mortgage payment. Most of that payment is going towards interest, but a small fraction of it is going towards the principal. Every month you make that, the payment stays the same as long as you don't have a fixed and adjustable rate mortgage. Your payment stays the same every month for your principal and your interest. But every month, a little bit more goes towards the principal. So let's make an oversimplification. Let's say, that first mortgage payment, let's say $75 goes towards principal. Maybe month 2, it's $75.25. Maybe month 3, it's $75.65. Every month, a little teeny bit more goes towards paying down the principal. So if you borrowed, again, we'll keep it simple, $400,000. After month 1, in my example, your balance is $400,000 minus $75. Okay. Month 2, it keeps going. So what happens is your net worth, because now your net worth is higher. So let's say you bought a $450,000 house, put $50,000 down, and your mortgage is $400,000. Well, every month, after month 1, you have $50,000 of net worth plus 75, so it's $50,075. Month 2, it's $50,150.65. Every month, that net worth portion increases just by making your housing payment. That's the same kind of payment you make when you're paying rent, a housing payment. Part goes towards interest, part goes towards reducing your loan balance. So essentially, you're paying yourself through ownership rather than paying rent to someone else and increasing your landlord's net worth. Okay. Number 3 is income, rental income. Okay. And we're going to get a little more detailed on this towards the end. But if you own investment property, so it's a property you don't live in, it's an investment property, or it's a 2-family, 3-family that you rent out the other 2 units, 1 or 2 units, rental income can create ongoing cash flow. Many investors use rental income to offset mortgage payments. So I live in a 2-family house. I live in unit 1. Upstairs I rent out. Their rent is $2,000 a month. That $2,000 goes directly towards my mortgage payment. So now, instead of me having to pay $2,900 a month for a mortgage, I'm paying $900 a month. Now, if I can afford $2,900, if I'm smart, what I do is I take that extra $2,000 a month that I can afford, and I put it in a separate account, which can be used to pay down the mortgage in the future, okay, make extra principal payments, or save it up to buy another property. Now, sometimes what some people do is they make 1 extra mortgage payment a year. So instead of making 12 mortgage payments, they make 13. That 13th payment goes directly towards reducing your loan balance. That can reduce years off of your loan, your mortgage. So instead of it being a 30-year mortgage, maybe you're only paying that for 27 years. Okay. Some people just throw an extra $100 a month at the mortgage every month. Whatever's comfortable. If you can do anything extra, it's very significant in the long term because it goes directly to reducing your loan balance. You can also use the rental income. So in my example, they're paying $2,000 a month. It can be just passive income. You can pay your amount. You get that $2,000 a month. It's just extra income. Or as I said, you can put it aside and use it to reinvest in additional properties. This is one reason why real estate investing is often part of long-term wealth strategies for many individuals. Is this easy? Not really. Is it beneficial in the short run and the long run? Yes. Is it the only way? No. We'll get into that a little bit later too. The fourth way it generates, wait, rental income. Another way we can do things now, because we live in Rhode Island, is we can build an accessory dwelling unit and rent it out. So let's say you have that space above your garage. You can hire a company like Calyx Builds. It's very experienced in building accessory dwelling units. And I say experienced because not only do they know how to swing the hammers and cut the wood, they know how to go through all the permitting, deal with the architects, the engineering, all of the, the particulars, the paperwork that a lot of people don't know that can really trip you up. They make it easy peasy, nice and smooth. So if you buy a one-family home, you've got a big yard, maybe you could put a separate structure out there as an accessory dwelling unit. Maybe you can convert your garage, get rid of the garage, put a unit in there, or the upstairs in the garage, or your attic or your basement. So you can even get rental income from a single-family home. Okay. Another way you can get income from a single-family home, which I'm not going to go into tonight because it's pretty controversial, and there are a lot of particulars from the different. We have 39 municipalities in Rhode Island. Sometimes I think everyone has their own way of dealing with short-term rentals, also known as Airbnb and VRBO. But that's even another way, because you can have a 4-bedroom house. You only need 2. You could rent out those bedrooms. Okay, if your local zoning code permit it. Okay. So after rental income, that's number 3. Number 4 is tax advantages. Real estate ownership can also provide valuable tax benefits depending on your situation. Now, I'm a real estate guy. I'm not a tax guy. I'm not an attorney guy. So you would have to talk to a tax professional or a real estate attorney to get legal advice or tax advice. But generally speaking, real estate ownership provides valuable tax benefits to property owners. Examples may include mortgage interest deductions, depreciation for the investment property, capital gains exclusions for primary residences. You could also have property tax deductions. So to find out which would be best, you would want to talk with a tax professional. Now, these are the types of things, folks. What I try to do is when I have classes or seminars for people, let's look at all of this stuff ahead of time so that you understand what you may or may not be getting into, and would you be comfortable with that? These are just a numbers part. There are a lot of other logistical parts of property ownership that you would need to consider. So for these tax benefits, it's always good to talk to a qualified CPA or tax professional. But these are one of the reasons that real estate is often considered what's called tax efficient, air quotes, tax efficient investment. Okay. Now, long-term thinking is key. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to real estate is looking at it only through a short-term lens. The next 5 years, the next 7 years, the 2 years. Okay. I always, we don't get this too much now, but in the teens, early, mid, and late teens, people would say they would try and speculate. Well, property values are going to go up. I'll buy it and then sell it in a year. And I always say, listen, don't even think that way. Buy the property if the numbers make sense. Okay. How much you're putting down, what your payment is going to be, the return on your investment. If those numbers make sense and you can handle it, great. If the property values increase in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and you decide to sell, that's another benefit, but don't count on that, because I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be selling real estate. And I don't think anybody else has a crystal ball. No one knows what's going to happen. So you need to be very pragmatic and conservative and not over leverage yourself because of a thought. I did that when I was very young, and I lived to regret it. That was before I was a real estate professional. So real estate will reward people who think on long-term horizons. Now, remember, a mortgage, it's a 30-year mortgage. We're one of the few countries on the planet that has a 30-year mortgage. Many of these 30-year mortgages are guaranteed by the government, so it's not very risky for the lender. So a homeowner who stays in a property for 7 to 10 years or longer can be rewarded. Investors who hold on to rental property over time will be rewarded. And buyers who gradually build equity through ownership are rewarded. Real estate wealth is built through consistency and patience, not quick speculation. You know, I took a real estate class up at BU one time, and the professor was like, you know, in real estate, people have a 5-year memory and a 7-year business cycle. And that's very true. That class was a long time ago, but people still do that. And you need to resist that temptation. All right. Investors, you hold property over time. The income you're receiving from that property, even if you keep your rents the same, it's going to pay down that loan balance without any extra input from you if you bought the property right. And by buying it right, if you work with a qualified real estate professional, you're going to know, okay, these are my payments for mortgage, the principal and interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, a vacancy factor, and then maybe a debt service reserve. So if something happens, okay, all the money that comes in has to be divvied up into those to cover those points. That's why real estate investors who are collecting rent and are disciplined, they're rewarded. Buyers, just by paying your mortgage every month, you are increasing your net worth. But again, pay attention, consistency and patience builds long-term wealth in real estate. Not speculation. Consistency is important. Patience is important. All right, next, getting started the right way. Okay, you know, this is something else. I try to provide lots of information to my clients so that they can make a smart, informed decision that puts them in a better financial situation for the future. So if you're thinking about using real estate to build wealth, it's very important to start with a strategy that fits your goals, not your neighbors, not your cousins, not your friends, not mine, your goals. Everybody's goals are different. Are you buying your first home at 20 years old? Are you buying your first home at 60 years old? You're going to have a different horizon. Are you super handy and can fix things? Do you make a lot of money? Not a lot of money? Is it going to be a stretch in the beginning? Where do you need to live? You need to live in a rural area, at an urban area, something in between? Okay. Buying your first home, that's one thing. Purchasing a multifamily property, Something else. Investing in rental property, or gradually building a a real estate portfolio over time. A friend of mine is invested in condominiums. One property, one tenant. She doesn't have to do any maintenance as far as like snow removal, mowing the lawn, stuff like that. Condo association takes it, all set. That's for one type of an investor. Someone else might like the idea of having a multifamily property. Maybe they're going to live in it. Maybe they're going to have one of their kids live in one unit, rent out the others. Whatever your choice is, the most important step is understanding the local real estate market, the financial risks, and the long-term opportunities. This is where working with an experienced real estate professional, like yours truly, can make a meaningful difference. Let me say that again. Working with an experienced real estate professional can make a world of a difference, because the experienced professional is going to remind you that you need to have patience and be consistent over time. Okay? That way, you'll be able to maximize your return and maybe even scale up. But that's a decision that you would make, not me. So if we're working together, I'm going to ask you lots of questions to make you think about different scenarios. Because what I don't want to do is advise someone and have them and sell them a property, and then in 12 months or 18 months or 24 months they call me up and they're over their head, stressed out, exasperated, can't deal with it. If we could have done something to identify another situation that would have been better suited for them and their financial situation, domestic situation, logistical, okay, how handy are you, what your goals are, what your objectives are, where's your life going? Are you starting a family? Are you single? Are your kids on their way out the door? Are you divorced? Are you going to be getting married? These are all different things that you would be wise to factor them in to your decision-making process. That's why I say if you're interested in learning more about how real estate can help you build long-term wealth, stay tuned. Check out my blog, cupofjoeluca.com. Go to my YouTube channel, Joe Luca Realtor. Look for that, or Joe Luca Real Estate Show, because I try to put a lot of content out there on real estate investing, buying and selling real estate, what the market trends are, and then strategies for building financial security through real estate. So if you are in a situation whether you're 25 or 55 and you're trying to plan for retirement, you may have other options besides Social Security and your 401k. And I say may because landlording, it's not easy. Sometimes it is, but typically it's not. It's not for everybody. But there are some other opportunities, other options, other vehicles that you can invest in. So let's say you do not want to deal with tenants, you don't want to deal with people, you don't want to deal with phone calls, and you don't want to have to deal with a property management company. Okay, now property management is another way. If the property can support it, you can budget to pay a property manager to deal with all the problems, collect the rent, pay the bills, or something in between. Okay, maybe they just deal with the problems, you collect the rent and pay the bills. But there's something else for people that want even a more passive experience. And you have real estate investment trust. Okay, we talked about this last week, I think it was. Now, a real estate investment trust is essentially, it's like a stock. You would go to your stockbroker, Fidelity, Vanguard, wherever you buy, you trade your stocks. You would buy a real estate investment trust. Now, there are real estate investment trusts that focus on multifamily residential properties. That's all they do. There are real estate investment trusts that only do hotels. There are real estate investment trusts that only do office properties. Other ones that only do retail, big box retail like Walmart, with triple net tenants like CVS. Triple net means the tenant pays for everything, all the expenses, and you, as the property owner, just collect the check every month. So if you have a property and you can get CVS wants to be there, or Walgreens, you could get a developer to build the property out. They would move in, and then they pay you rent every month, and they pay all the expenses. So essentially, it's like a dividend on a stock, okay, or a payment on a bond. So real estate investment trusts, that is probably one of the most passive ways to invest, because you don't have to deal with any of the other, air quotes, owners. You don't care who they are. You just give your money and you see the value go up, or you get dividend payments, or depending on the different trusts. But they have real estate investment trusts for all different types of property, even globally, okay? Properties in other countries. And then they have some that are a hybrid. They blend different types of real estate as part of their portfolio. So that's probably the most passive way that you could invest in real estate as you get older and not have to deal with the late night phone calls about a leaky roof, or a toilet that's not working, or the heat that's not working. Because that takes a special kind of a person. Not everybody is good with people. Not everybody is good with dealing with problems like that, with surprises. And that's okay, because there are ways around it. Maybe you only want to buy condominiums and garden-style buildings, which are basically condominiums that are in big old apartment buildings that were converted. That way, maybe it's all electric heat. Maybe it's one heating system for the whole building. One less thing you have to worry about. The property gets plowed, the grass gets mowed, roofs are changed. You don't have to deal with any of it. You just collect your rent payment every month and make sure the tenant doesn't destroy your property. That's one of the other things that landlords make a mistake in, not being especially fussy when choosing to whom they should rent their house, condo, apartment. You need to be very circumspect and patient in finding a tenant, because you cannot get rid of a tenant quickly in this state. So you should be slow to rent, because it's slow to evict. And sometimes if they get out quickly, they leave a whole set of problems for you behind. Okay. So there are different options with regard to real estate for people who want that to be a portion of their retirement. You can be hands-on, jump in with both feet. You can be a little less hands-on, maybe invest in renting single-family homes only, or condominiums. That would be even less involved, or less to do, more passive. Or a real estate investment trust. Or you could do something where you have, we talked about this last week, limited partners. You get 5, 10, 20, 50 people together, pool their money in. One person is the managing partner, and they run point, take care of all the problems. After the expenses are done, everybody gets if it's an annual dividend or however it is. But, again, with all of these situations, you need to have a good real estate professional advising you, a good tax professional advising you, and a real estate attorney advising you. Okay, those are essential because you want good data upon which you can make decisions. Okay, making decisions, if you have good data, it's simple to make the decision. Part of having good data, as I said in the beginning of the show, is if there are family members involved that are going to be implicated in your decision, you want to involve them, take their pulse, find out what are their concerns, and then how can you assuage those concerns. Now, if you listen to the show and you are interested in this, I have a real estate wealth builder starter guide that I can email out to you. You just have to text me your email address, your name and email address to 401-409-5030. Again, it's Joe Luca, Luca. I'm a realtor. I work at RE/MAX. My number for text or voice is 401-409-5030. And reach out if you would like a copy of my free real estate wealth builder starter guide. Not overly long, but it's something I can email to you so that you can just look at it, reflect on it, and then it will cause you to have questions, which you can call me back and say, hey, Joe, I read your guide. Here are my questions. How does this apply to me? But again, there are 4 ways that real estate builds wealth. 4. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there are other scenarios that you need to consider when deciding what's best for you. Okay, folks, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. We rebroadcast the show on Saturdays at 1 p.m. And you can listen to us or the station at WNRI.com 24 hours a day, anywhere on the planet that you have access to the internet. WNRI.com. If you'd like to learn or learn a little bit more about real estate, I have a blog, cupofjoeluca.com. And I also have a YouTube channel. I think if you just did a search for Joe Luca Realtor and look for YouTube, you could find that. I have lots of past episodes of the radio show, as well as a bunch of 3 to 5 minute videos, and then just now started to put up some YouTube shorts, as they call them, and these are less than a minute, maybe 25, 35, 45, 50 seconds long, just kind of like some quick hits. Okay, I'm trying to get that populated as well. And sometimes one of the challenges, as a quick aside, when I'm making these videos, I have reader glasses, and sometimes I forget to take them off when I make my video. And then I look at the video after the fact, and I see like the white circle reflected in my glasses. That's the light that you use when you're making a video. I'm like, ugh. So then I either have to re-record the video, or if I don't have time, I just have to post the video with the reflection of the light in my glasses. But that's the travails of posting videos online. And of course, me, Joe Luca, I have a face for radio. So, I'm not all that impressed with how I look on video to begin with. So I try to look at my videos as little as possible. But it's more fun staying behind the mic. But I do post videos because engagement is higher with video. That's what everyone seems to agree on. Now, I went to my trusty, old, reliable mortgagenewsdaily.com website just to give you what's going on with mortgage rates as of today. So the 30-year fixed rate, 6.29%, which is a tiny bit down from yesterday. The 30-year FHA, 5.84%, again, a tiny bit down. And the 30-year VA is 5.85. Now, the VA is the best loan out there. So if you're active military or veteran, that's a loan that you should try to get, and you should find a house that meets the requirements of a VA loan. And I can help you with that. 401-409-5030. Give me a call or text me, 401-409-5030, and I will explain to you how the many different ways you can benefit from the VA loan. We have to talk about your situation, but generally you're going to get a lower interest rate, no PMI, and they're more forgiving with problems on your credit. Okay. And the FHA is another great program. There's also a USDA loan product, which is a no money down product like the VA loan. You have to be buying a home in certain census tracts, rural districts, in order to use that loan. But that's a great loan too. So folks, again, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. Shout out to Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. He works for you, property owner, not the insurance company. Vern Rainville, he's a Rhode Island guy. All phone calls are returned within 24 hours. All you have to do is give him a ring, 484-300-8495. Again, 484-300-8495. That's Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. And of course, Compass Title and Escrow, taking care of buyers and sellers of real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And they can also set you up with an LLC if you're thinking about becoming an investor. Okay. And you're always better off when you're an investor not owning the property personally. I'm not an attorney, but I can certainly direct you to attorneys like those at Compass Title and Escrow who can help you out and answer any questions that you may have about that. So, folks, the real estate market, once again, it's still strong. I know, I watch the news. I try not to watch it too much. It's like I turn it on, you get sucked in. It's like a rabbit hole. And you end up watching the news, looking at this political person, that political person, what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Cuba, what's going on in Venezuela. And sometimes it's really, really, for me, overwhelming. And one thing for certain is, thank goodness, the real estate market is still strong. This real estate market is resilient, okay? We're not in a strong growth market, but we are in a very solid market because we have lots of buyers, not a lot of sellers. That doesn't mean it's not a good time to buy a home because, folks, the sooner you buy a home and start paying your mortgage, you're increasing your net worth, increasing your wealth, not your landlord's. Okay, so bear that in mind every month when you transfer money, either electronically or via check, to your landlord. And I can help you put together a plan to become a homeowner. Well, I don't make a lot of money, Joe. What am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Hey, let's find a co-buyer for you. Let's talk to your friends, your relatives. Joe, my credit, I've got really bad credit. I can't do it. Bad credit is not permanent. I work with some really good credit repair companies that will guarantee, if you do what they say, in 6 or 12 months, you could get a mortgage. Now think about that. You've been paying rent for 1, 2, 5, 10 years. Wouldn't it be nice if a year from now you were paying your own mortgage and you weren't paying your landlord's mortgage? Think about that. But it takes a first step by you, not me. I'm here on the radio every Tuesday night. I'm in my office every day. answering questions. I respond to emails, text messages. All you have to do is reach out to me. Call or text 401-409-5030. And we can do it in person. We can have a FaceTime, a virtual meeting, face-to-face virtually. We could do a phone call. I can send you information via email for you to read over. I can give you videos to watch. You'd have to see my ugly mug. But that's all it takes is a first step. Now, maybe you take the step, we talk, and it's like, you know what, Joe, forget it. I don't want to do it. Or I don't know anybody I would want to buy a house with, whatever. But let's at least try and explore those options. And who knows? Maybe you don't make a lot of money, but maybe it's enough money to get a mortgage on a house or a condo. There are a lot of great mortgage programs out there for all different scenarios. That's why I work with so many great lender partners. Okay? So despite all that craziness that's going on around the world, in the Middle East, in Cuba, in Venezuela, any place else they're talking about stuff, that's crazy in this country, elsewhere, rest assured, the real estate market in Rhode Island and Massachusetts is still very strong. And you know what else you can rely on? What else you can rest assured about? The Old Time Preaching Ministry. Coming up at 7:05, Rick Mernier is going to talk to you about Scripture. Great. The Bible is like the key to having a balanced life. I've done it like little tests in the past where I'll just open the Bible and point to a line and read it, and holy smokes, that applies to my life precisely. There's a lesson in whatever I just randomly pointed at that applies to me that I can learn from today. Okay. So please stay tuned. 7:05 after the news, Rick Mernier will be on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. And I guarantee you, if you listen to him, you will feel better by the time 8 o'clock rolls around. Okay. So folks, we are coming up to the end of the show. I'm Joe Luca, your host of the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. Any questions, reach out to me, 401-409-5030. Thank you to Compass Title and Escrow for supporting the show, and Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster Extraordinaire, 484-300-8495. We had a lot of crazy weather, strong winds last night, lots of rain. If you think you have a claim, call Vern Rainville. He works for you, the property owner, not the insurance company. 484-300-8495. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in, guys.